Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Saturday, April 15, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. Brooklyn Nets vs Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, it could go the other way where -8.5 with Philly looks short if the Sixers close this thing down in 4 or 5 games, but in Game 1, when the favorite swept the season series, is a popular future selection and is expected by the world to advance. Which way do you think the spread is going to be shaded if it is at all? That's the tax that 76ers backers are going to have to be willing to pay right out of the gate in this series, and a 2015-1 ATS record this year as home chalk is a nice support beam to lean on. However, Philly was also just 7-13 ATS this year when favored in the -5 to -9.5 range, including a 1-4 ATS record as favorites of -7.5 to -9.5. Add in the Doc Rivers history of losing playoff series he's supposed to win, and I suspect there will be much better times in this series to back Philly against the number. No need to dance around the headline of grabbing the points with Brooklyn in this Game 1 spot, as they are just a squad that I don't believe is getting enough credit to at least make life difficult for the Sixers in this series. The Nets had won 6 of 8 going into that season finale against the Sixers, so I also don't believe this number is truly reflective of Brooklyn's current form either. Now, without question, I get why this number is where it is, and it's got to be there, but Philly's still coming into this series having given their main starters a lot of time off down the stretch. Throw in basically another full week off between the last regular season game and Game 1, and Philly's superstars haven't really seen much floor time in a couple of weeks now. Don't think that's a current form of a team I want to be laying significant chalk with right out of the gate, especially against a team everyone knows has nothing to lose. Remember, most of that 15-9 ATS record as road underdogs have come with this current version of the Nets, and for the season, Brooklyn is 12-3 ATS when catching +5 or more, 6-2 ATS as dogs of +7.5 or more. Nobody is expecting Brooklyn to do much of anything in this series, and no better time to shatter expectations than in a Game 1, where there are no previous games in the series to base expectations off of. Game 1s are the most speculative time of any playoff series to me, and you can find tremendous value in going with the contrarian approach. Nobody wants anything to do with the Nets in this series, but at least out of the gate, I'm going to make the Sixers prove to me they can win by margin when expected. Long-term expectations appear to be projecting too much on Philly for this one specific game in my view, and with the Nets getting swept in the regular season, Brooklyn's also got to prove to themselves they've got a legit chance in this series. Brooklyn might come up short in regards to grabbing a 1-0 series lead and stealing home court advantage, but I expect them to stay well within this spread for the bulk of this contest. Our team pick is Brooklyn +8.5 points. The Nets and Sixers rank 20th and 27th respectively in pace factor this year, and with playoff basketball already being slower and having guys more willing to play defense every possession, this is a series where the bulk of the games should land under the total. There is no reason for either team to get out of character and play faster than they normally do, and the 3-1 OU record in the season series is misleading in that the lone under result came in that February 11th game, where the teams looked like they likely will for this series. That was a 101-98 final where they combined for 46 and 41 points in the final 2 quarters. I don't believe you're going to see the majority of the quarters in this series finish with 54+ combined points, and that 220 average is basically what you'd need to eclipse this number. I just don't buy that being the game script for what this series ultimately looks like, and I would not be surprised at all to see totals much closer to 210 the deeper we get into this series. Our total pick is under 216 points. Atlanta Hawks vs Boston Celtics. The Celtics provide several difficult matchups for a Hawks team that struggles against athletic wings. Both Tatum and Brown will be able to get what they want, both going to the rim and on the perimeter, and that will force the Hawks to send help to both matchups. This will create tons of good looks from long range for a Celtics team that has thrived on the 3PT shot. The Celtics averaged over 22 3PT field goals per game against Atlanta this season, shooting over 46%, which indicates the Hawks' difficulty with keeping up with the Celtics' inside-out offense. Young will get his points in this series, but Boston is one of the few teams in the NBA that can match up multiple players, Marcus Smart and White, to make him work for those points. Murray was not as effective against the Celtics this year thanks to Boston's length at the wing position. Williams' 3 can neutralize Capella on the glass as well, and the Hawks simply don't have the depth to match Boston. The Celtics will roll in Game 1. Take Boston -9 points. 2 of the 3 meetings between these two went over this season, and their combined total per game was 240 points per game. We shouldn't look at their last matchup too deeply, as both sides were resting their starters in the season finale. However, the game prior to that, back on March 11th, was a slugfest that Boston walked away from with a 134-125 win in regulation. The game also nearly featured an actual slugfest between Marcus Smart and Trae Young. So, this matchup seems to get the blood boiling and the shots flying. Atlanta has one of the more up-tempo offenses in the league, ranked 4th in tempo by dunksandthrees.com. The Celtics will gladly join them for a run if that's what the Hawks want. The over is 5-1 in Boston's last 6 games played on 3 or more days of rest. The over is also 4-0-1 in the last 5 Hawks games. Take the over 230.5 points. New York Knicks vs Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are making their first playoff appearance since 2018 when they were led by LeBron, J.R. Smith and Kevin Love. This Cleveland team looks much different now. The Cavaliers have drafted well the past couple seasons, bringing in young homegrown talent, but the trade for All-Star Donovan Mitchell is what catapulted them toward the top of the Eastern Conference. Cleveland is going to come out strong in this game. They have not had nearly as many nationally televised games as the Knicks, and they will want to impress on Saturday. The Julius Randle injury will play a role. He will likely play, but may not be at 100%. Cleveland has the most efficient defense in the league and will show it off against New York. Evan Mobley is an excellent defender and will give Randle problems all series. Cleveland's size on the inside will be difficult for New York, as Robinson does not score much and Randle is an undersized power forward. Randle will no longer be able to use the perimeter as an advantage, as Mobley is quick enough to keep up with him. Garland and Mitchell are an excellent backcourt, and Mitchell has been hot lately, scoring 40 or more in 4 straight games. Expect Cleveland to set the tone here and win big. Take Cleveland to win and cover in Game 1. Our team pick is Cavaliers -5.5 points. The totals will be lower for the postseason, where the refs let players play and fewer free throws are taken. This number is still too low. The Knicks have gone over the total in 4 of their last 5, and the lowest total out of all of those games was 220.5. Cleveland put up 115 or more in 3 of their last 4 games. The only game they missed was the season finale, where most of the starters did not play. These teams do play slow, but score efficiently. Both teams are in the top 8 of the league in terms of scoring efficiency. The books are going to set these totals low for the beginning of the playoffs and will adjust after a few games, but for now, the over is the play. Take the over 214.5 points. Golden State Warriors vs Sacramento Kings. Sacramento enters this game coming off 3 consecutive losses, with one being their 119-97 loss to the Warriors and their most recent being a 109-95 loss on the road against the Nuggets. This loss is a little deceiving, however, as the Kings took a convincing lead in the first quarter with their starters in, then ended up losing the game due to resting their starters and splitting up the workload. There weren't many notable performances because of this, but Harrison Barnes led the team in scoring with 17 points, while Domantas Sabonis almost recorded a double-double in only 19 minutes of work, with 14 points and 9 rebounds. This is where my concern begins with the Kings, because their lack of depth was on full display in this game, with their bench getting a majority of the minutes, despite producing considerably less than their starters. They will get their money's worth in Game 1 of this series, that almost feels like a rivalry at this point. Hate to be that guy, but I am not betting against the Warriors in the playoffs. Obviously, every year is different, but this is a team that has kept its core guys and has a ton of playoff experience, and it is a much different story for the Kings, who are relatively young and have little to no playoff experience. I know the Warriors have the narrative of tending to struggle on the road, however, the team is coming off a 157-101 win on the road in Portland, in which they set a new NBA record for most points scored in the first quarter, and their game before that was a 119-97 win on the road against no other than the Kings themselves. This line actually opened up with the Kings being favored by a point and has since shifted to the Warriors being favored, and for very good reason. The Warriors are 8-2 in their last 10, while the Kings are 5-5. I could break down each individual player, but it's pretty obvious for this one. Expect the Splash Brothers to go to work, with Steph Curry adding to his Hall of Fame resume, and for the Kings, expect them to look towards their veteran in Domantas Sabonis, along with their young guys such as De'Aaron Fox and Kevin Huerter. Besides that, I'm siding with experience and what is tried and true, and sticking with the Warriors in this one. Our team pick is Golden State Warriors -1 points. Taking the under in this matchup for a couple of reasons. Early line movement has seen this total move down to 238.5 on most books, indicating sharp action on the under. This is a very high total, especially for playoffs, which implies that both teams need to hang up about 120 points each. While both of these teams are more proficient on offense than defense, I do not see this being feasible in the first game of the playoffs. These teams don't even average 120 points per game on the season, with their implied total being closer to the 130 to 135 range. The implied total is calculated by taking both teams' average points scored and allowed on the season. There are also a handful of trends that indicate the under, with the Warriors having gone under in their past 4 games after scoring 125 or more in their previous game, and having gone under in 15 of their last 21 games against a team with a winning record. Meanwhile, the Kings have gone under in their past 4 games overall, and in their past 4 games, following an against the spread loss. In addition, when these teams have faced off in the past, they have gone under in 6 of their past 9 meetings overall, and have gone under in 3 of their past 4 meetings in Sacramento, making me all the more confident in taking the under for this matchup. Our total pick is under 239 points.